Hi, I'm Kiwi.
And I'm Jarad.
I'm Elvin.
And we are the two gentlemen coming to you with an extra gentleman. Elvin, how are you?
I'm good, Kiwi. It's nice to be here.
Mate, nice to have you here. We know each other, so we thought we'd get you in. Kiwi's met you for the first time tonight, but we met we'll probably crossed paths a few times, but probably met for the first time maybe two years ago. And I enjoy playing the game of basketball, and how we met was through that. And you've been running, I call a social comp, most Saturday mornings, probably way before I met you. But explain, what do you do? What do you do on Saturday mornings, mate?
Yeah, well, before I talk about the Saturday mornings, I clearly remember meeting you. We actually played against each other. And we thought, we've got these older guys who, will just run circles around. And next thing you know, we were like down by like 15 points or something. They just shoot the lights out of us.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, we thought we had the night, but came home losing.
Yeah. One of my best games.
Those days. Remember those days. So don't leave Jarad alone on his own behind the 3-point line. Punisher. You'll miss the first two.
Yeah.
You make the next 5.
I just got to get my eye in, mate. That's But yeah, mate, you've so we've got a bit of a history, but yeah, Saturday mornings. What do we do?
Look, Saturday mornings actually started, I'd say, about over 10 years ago.
10 years.
I made a phone call to a friend because I was just bored and I love playing sport.
Yeah.
Basketball is one of the sports that I'm really into. And I just called this guy named Jovan, who is part of the group, not as active because he plays in other basketball groups, and I think he's into weightlifting and all that.
Yep.
And I just said to him, look, how about a game of basketball? And then I think we managed to get 6 guys.
Yep.
We played our first game outside the skating rinks at Homebush on pavement.
Okay. Wow.
And the court was actually on a slant.
Wow.
So the ball goes down, settles on the court, it will start to roll down one side.
Run downhill.
Yeah. And then, it grew from there.
Yeah.
That grew from half court to go into different venues.
Yeah, right.
So wherever we could get a court. So we played at Bankstown for a few months.
Yeah.
Went to play at Ride pools for a few more months, and more people started to play, and some people that are actually playing now started there, then disappeared. We didn't see them for years. Disappeared, and then we went to, I don't know if I mentioned Bankstown.
Yeah. Went
to Bankstown, went to Ride, and then went to Ride X, played there for a while, and went to a PCYC place in Ride, near Kent Road there. And played there for a while, and then started to settle there. And then having young kids, as you know, needed to be home on Saturday mornings on a winter's morning. And I thought, gee, how am I going to juggle basketball where I get to still spend time with the guys and have that outlet, and also do my job, the dad job, taking them to
we all know how.
Taking them to sport. In winter and still be able to play.
Yeah, well, so that attracted me to it. I played sport all my life, and to then know that literally I could be home at 8 o'clock in the morning after having a run around. Not having as kids are getting older, you're starting to, I don't know, your time's a lot, you're more time poor. So I think 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, I can, we haven't actually mentioned it. So it's Hills Social Basketball is what the banner is, what we play under.
Yeah,
and,
right.
It's grown from what you've said early days to, we're looking at close to 500 members now on the Facebook page. I mean, I'm sure there's more people that don't use Facebook as well. But, Facebook is the kind of way that you communicate.
Yeah, there are those members where you've got a sense of personal, actual messages, because they're not on social media, and that's fine.
Carrier pigeons and stuff, But, you've created this, and I don't want to forget, and I can't name them because I don't know, but you and others have created this space for people to, an outlet for guys to.
And I have to mention, there were a few guys that came along. I mentioned Joe, and it grew to other people and I mentioned the Ride basketball group, and they're still going.
Yeah.
You know, coming close to home.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Morris. And
Yeah.
we've got Will Pratt,
Yeah.
who was a member.
Yeah.
Still part of the group.
Mm.
Somehow dropped off, and Alf as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those guys were the 4 guys, or us were the 4 guys who started the group, and it just grew. And I say started, but to me, it's not about us, it's about the actual players, because, you know, without the players, without the guys that wanted to play, and spend that time with other guys and chat and play basketball.
Yeah, we play basketball.
You know, the group wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So you said that it just grew. How did it grow? I mean, that sounds pretty amazing that you got 6 guys playing half-court basketball on a basketball court that had a slant, and all of a sudden, well, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, but, you know, you grew organically. How did that happen?
Well, word of mouth, a few phone calls here and there, because social media wasn't as big then. And, you know, it's just guys that just want to spend time, because we all get busy as dads, as men. We work, we've got other responsibilities. I think people just want to spend some time away from that weekday routine. And just want to have 1 or 2 hours where you could just, I don't know about you guys, but, you know, from a very young age, I think boys going into men and women too, just need to spend that energy.
Yeah.
Just want to, you know, play something you love, do something physical. And I've heard some of the guys, which was a nice thing to hear, that they've come back home being a better dad, brother, son.
Well,
after, you know, having that session where they just play and talk and shout and swear. I have to say this a lot. Goes on.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of the game, I guess. Complain.
Yeah.
You know, and as men and some women, I guess, that's a way to just release.
Yeah.
You know, release the tension.
And do you feel that it does the job for you personally to release that tension?
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say, you know, that's a way. I'm a school teacher, and forever being a role model, trying to get students to, you know, do the right thing, be respectful, do your work, you know, just telling them that, you know, this is the way, and I just need that outlet.
Yeah.
You know, having deal with kids, and having children at home, you're forever trying to be responsible, and reality is I'm not always responsible. So
I must say, you do deal with, you know, you said, like you said, you're a teacher and then your own kids. Some Saturday mornings you do have to deal with some
have to put the teacher voice on.
Some big children.
Yes.
But the majority of the time, and look, you've created this space that just helps, you know, like for me, you know, getting deep here, for me, I love playing basketball, but it was for me a time, and it was my time. And I looked at it like I can go in there from those 2 hours in the morning, and, you know, I can be home literally before my kids they're up, but, you know, before their day starts, you know, and I know, like I said earlier, our time gets poorer, but for me and I think it's for a lot of guys, it's created friendships that wouldn't necessarily have happened. So friendships are now turned into reality, you know, so, you know, I'm playing on another team, which I would never have played on a Thursday night. I now play with another guy, but we started playing, you know, at your comp. So things are happening and that's just me. So you can imagine all the other guys that are floating around going, you know what, we met at that. And, you know, you should be really proud and, you know, happy for what you've done, because you've created, mental health is a massive thing. And I think you sort of hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, these guys are coming home better dads and better husbands. And, you know, it's really awesome to hear. And yeah, you should be really proud. You and the boys have made, you know, the Mount Rushmore of Hills basketball. We can build that. We can build that.
Now.
Carve that up. No, and that's the type of person you are too. You know, like when I spoke to Elv before we did this, you know, he did say, and I hope you don't mind me saying, but he did say that he's been embarrassed that, you know, it's not about him. It's not all this, and I don't mean to embarrass you, but you know, just giving you some credit because, you know, that's the type of guy he is. He even brings water for us. Like, you know, we're grown men. He brings like things of water and, you know, like it's just, you know, it's one of those things that, it's a big community. You know, you create this community.
Thanks, Jarad.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, you mentioned, you know, going in there and, you know, having that feel. I'm going to go back a bit because some of the guys that are in there, we basically, you know, we're all, yes, basketball is the thing. Yeah. But when you play sport, you're very competitive, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So some of the guys in there, before we started this group, we'd go into a competition that Trent and Justin ran.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to kill each other.
Yeah.
You go in there on a Tuesday night going, okay, Tuesday morning, I'm going to, you know, when you start thinking about the game, you just want to make sure you go in there that night and do your best to try and rip into the other players.
Yeah.
And I know that there was about 4 different groups that we had, right, going into this Tuesday night competition that was existing before, or that still do exist, that we played at, and wanted to just rip each other's head off.
Yeah. You know? So this Tuesday was
an SBL,
you know, an SBL, and it's run proper referees and things like that. So it's not a social thing. Not a social thing.
So what's SBO?
SBL is a Sydney Basketball League.
Oh, okay.
So it's a proper competition.
Yeah, sure.
And we just had these different teams that we played in. And I mentioned earlier, that's where I met Jarad. As soon as they beat us, you know, you go into a huddle afterwards and go, remember this loss, boys. Remember those boys that we thought would beat.
Yeah.
And it goes for Arnell had his own team and his boys.
Yeah.
Tim had their own team. Tony.
Yeah.
Tyler.
Yeah.
They had a team, so we'd go in there wanting to just rip in. And there were games where it got physical.
Yeah. Okay. How physical are we talking?
We're talking about a few suspensions.
Oh, okay, right.
Look, basketball is a non-contact sport, and I say that, but you know, I've got a full footy background as we've said on this podcast, and I've been hit and I hit people. That was part of my sport. So basketball's got this thing about it that
it's a non-contact sport,
that's the most contacting you get. The most how do I put this?
Yeah. With the most contact.
You get away.
You
get away with a lot of contact for something that's supposed to be non-contact. And you know, tempers flare and things happen. And
look, you know, we do want to go in there and compete, but you know, most of the time it's, you know, whatever happens on the court stays on the court.
Yeah.
I want to go forward now that, you know, since this basketball thing started and people started to hear about it and join, as we played and as I mixed the players around knowing that, okay, you know, I haven't played with this guy that I used to go and play against, and, you know, we tried to even out the teams, but I also try and mix personalities and friendship, you know, and as new people come in, I'm probably fast forwarding here. As new people come in, because a lot of it is word of mouth as well. Yes, social media's there, but Jarad might say, you know, I want to bring in a mate.
Yeah.
When they do come along, I try to keep them in the same team so that there's a familiar face there, someone to talk to. Because a player probably brought someone in because they want to spend a bit of time with that mate.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to point out too, so you've been talking about teams and putting them in teams. I just want to point out, you know, really briefly how it's run. It's not just a bunch of guys going down there with 15,000 basketballs shooting at one net, right?
There is a bit of organisation.
Yeah, there's a bit of organisation, and that's, I guess I want to touch on that. You know, there's a lot that you do, but I'll briefly touch on it. It's, you know, for example, he might have 2 courts and what we got, 5 teams?
4 teams.
4 or 5 teams running. So essentially, he'll put it out on Facebook and say, who wants to play on this date? And the first 35, 40 guys that answer, yep, you're in. And then Elv sorts of teams. So I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, so there's a bit of organisation in that. I think it's the teacher in me. Actually, it's a bit like a big maze, a bit like a big puzzle. So, you know, in all sports, I think one of the key things that I do with our social group is to try and even out the teams.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I did that, the reason why I've done that is so that it can be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a social thing where, you know, you could be with a friend, but also not stuck with the same person every week.
Yep.
And I think every week it becomes competitive. And I always say my dream score would be like a scoreline of 2-0 with a lot of guys just lying down on the floor because they're so tired. Yeah. It's a soccer thing. But I try to even out the teams because, like I said, it's competitive. You can be with your mates, but it's a puzzle. In basketball, you always start with your tallest guy or the strongest guy. So I try to build around those people.
Yeah.
And then I'll filter through looking at skills, looking at experience. And
so
as I mentioned, just mention that, if you're a mate with somebody, it'd be good for them to spend 2 hours with that guy while they're playing, while they're sitting on the side, just having a chat.
Yeah.
And somehow, my dream is, even it all out. Most of the time it does.
Yeah. Right.
But then, as you go through, you get to know each other's game, and there are winners and losers. Yeah. But the best part is, people walk away, lose in a close game, and you just go, you know what? I've just had a good workout.
Yeah.
I've just yelled, screamed, swore, hit a few shots, and missed a lot.
Yeah. So, is there any of the same tension? Sorry, is there any of the same tension that you got on that Tuesday night? Is that any of that there, or is it all pretty social and friendly and gentlemanly?
I don't know. My perspective is, I guess, different to every guys that play there. My perspective now is that hopefully people have fun, compete, but also nurture the young ones and the new guys, because we do have older guys, we do have guys about our age, but there are also some young guys. Yeah. And some young guys that are skillful that, basketball could be any sport really. You could get hurt. Yeah. And, just hope that people nurture. And I've seen that happen actually. I've seen David nurture some of the young guys and teach. I've seen people talk to other people. Hey, this is how you can improve your game. Yeah. And I try to do the same. I mean, even on our little mini competition now, I'd pick up the phone and go, hey, listen, if you guys play this way, you could be a dominant, could be a dominant team. Silly doing that, but I just love that even, competition.
So just another added little tidbit of 1%ers that Elvin does, right? So, and again, it's done with a few more guys, but so we do this, I'm going to call it semi-organised. Every Saturday, Elvin puts together teams and blah, 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 right? Like we just explained. But for maybe 2 times a year or maybe 3 times a year, you put together a 5-week comp where we pay our money, we get jerseys, and we get put in the same teams for 5 weeks. Yeah. Wow. So we turn up, and it's fully run with, refereeing, stats and scores and everything like this. All this stuff
the stats get crazy.
All this stuff that we don't actually.
So that's come up in the last couple of seasons, thanks to Aaron. And,
Quinny, But it's things that I've never had. I used to come home thinking, I've hit 5 threes tonight, and I think, I only shot like 8, so 5 from 8, that's pretty good. And then now I look at my stats, it's like 5 from 15. I'm like, sometimes they're not that good. But no,
I just want to talk a little bit about that because, so when we started this mini intercom, it happens once or twice a year. We started off with just writing the score and the amount of fouls that people have. It's just a basic sheet. Yeah. Freddie used to put up the sheet and the roster, and we had a little table, and then in comes Aaron, who comes from the Central Coast every Saturday morning. So, as we said, we start at 6 o'clock. Yeah, what time does he get up? I don't know,
maybe
4 o'clock or something?
4 o'clock, 4:30.
Yeah. He's just one of the nicest guys as well.
Yeah.
He's been voted best embarrassed a couple of times. But he spends, he'll record the games on video and would play.
So he plays,
He plays, and then, mind you, I think he runs a business as well. He's got his own shop, but he'll watch the game and take down the stats.
So rebounds,
every player.
This is like stats, like
rebounds, assists, points,
professional
missed shots,
type of stats,
missed shots, like how many free
attempts of free throws, and
it would take. It would take all Saturday.
I can't even imagine how long it takes.
For every game.
When you think there's 10 people on the court.
So there's 6 games on a Saturday that we play.
So he'll watch it and go, okay, that guy shot it. So he'll jot it down, he missed that. So-and-so got the rebound, unpause, go to the next play. Oh, okay, that was an assist because that guy scored. The stats are...
If you check out a professional league stats for a player or a team or a game...
It's on par.
He's on par with that.
Like it's blocks.
That's incredible.
So this is people that do things. You know, Elv does a lot, but there's people around that just give up their time to do something because they love it. They do, and again, it goes back to creating that space that guys feel really comfortable. And he wouldn't do that if he didn't enjoy himself. You know, like
and travel that way.
With
way. Brad.
With So
it's just incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Thinking about where
it started.
Where it started, but where people come from as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just about the game anymore. It's about spending a bit of time with your mates and you know, just having that downtime or that, you know, I'm going to start my weekend with just doing something physical and
and it's a great way to start your weekend. Like it really is, and to me, it's
Jarad, you used the term spending his time or giving up his time. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. It sounds like he's taking back his time, if anything. Really.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. You know, life just takes everything away from us, and you've created this intentional community. You started something for men specifically to get this outlet, which is amazing physically. But like you said, you created a place where men could just be. So it's like a safe space, really, isn't it? And that's amazing.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. And I hope, you know, it's not just about the game anymore. It's about other things. And for, you know, children coming up as well that do play the game, hope it's something for them to also go to, because there are some father and son sort of players that come along, and we've had a few fathers bring their son. I have to say I've been lucky enough to finally have, you know, my two sons play in some of the games. Yeah. So I could say I could tick that.
It's one of those tick box things. I think.
You know, thank God that they didn't get hurt. I've warned them about it. So, but no, they enjoyed it, and you know, like I've asked them, you know, would you play again? And they said, yes, Dad, we will. It is a safe place. I'd like to think so. It does get competitive, but I mentioned to the young guys, and I do pull them up and say, hey, you could do this, you could do that. But also you're here to, you know, play your game, play your natural game and do your best. Because, you know, yes, we might look intimidating to some of these kids, but I think that communication and just bridging that gap where you say to the children, hey, listen, this is what you could do. These guys are just here to play just like you. Yeah. You know, don't be afraid. It's safe. So
it sounds like mentorship is a really important thing to you. You take it quite seriously. I guess, you know, being a teacher as well, you've got that natural role. Can you tell us more about that, with especially there being the organizer of this competition?
I think it goes back to when I was a kid, when I started to follow my cousin who played the game, played basketball. I used to just tag along because my mum would work, and you know, he'd look after me, so he'd play a lot of sport. I used to just go and watch and just see what men did, what you know, for their pastime, and then started to play. And
so, how old was your cousin?
I was about 5 years old, and I think he was in his 30s.
Oh wow! Okay, right.
So Mum would go to work, Dad would go to work, or Dad was away overseas. He'd come home every 2 years and you know, spend a month at home and then go again. So I lived with Mum, and she'd go to work. So I'd stay with my cousin, and he played basketball. So I used to follow around, and then started playing. So that's how I started, and I thought, to me, that's mentorship.
Yes.
He'd give me a few tips here and there.
Yeah.
I remember he taught me about shooting, which I don't do as much anymore anyway. But and I think it's also being a teacher, as you said, and you know, it's not just the kids, it's each other. When we talk about each other's game and what we could do on the side, and it's just a game that allows you for that. And with these young guys coming through, because without them, really,
we're getting older.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit worrying, isn't it? We're hoping to keep going, but eventually, you know, hopefully this can keep going for our kids and their friends.
That's lovely. And I guess it's up to you, older guys, to establish the right culture, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's how clubs, you know, like, and going back to my sporting, you know, things I've done in sport, I mean, that's how clubs, whatever sport you choose, are formed, you know, like, You know, you've created this, you've founded this thing. I mean, at the moment it's Hill Social Basketball, but in 10 years' time, it could be an actual basketball club. You never know. Like just sort of, you know, and you think, well, and then that has, you know, you have this sort of, okay, we don't play anymore, but, you know, it'd be nice to see, you know, we've got 400 members. Nice to see some of these guys bring their kids and their kids start, or the younger guys that aren't, you know, the ones that are like at 25 now. You know, they're still, we call them kids, but yeah, like they're, you know, 20 years younger than us, you know, whatever. It's just nice to see that, and that's going to continue because these guys are going to get older, and then, you know, just, I don't know, that's how clubs are formed. So it wouldn't surprise me if this sort of thing sticks around, you know, there's enough passion there. And when you hear about things, you know, in history, you know, like I look back at my rugby club and you think, 1978, it was formed because bunch of guys wanted to play rugby and they put their hand up and they played against a couple of teams, and you know, for the first 5 years they were just a bunch of guys, you know. And
funny you mentioned
that.
You know? One of the things I thought about, and I've mentioned it to a couple of the guys, is creating like a little hall of fame. About, you know, who's been like, I don't know, there's so many categories that you could pick from, but just, you know, having, you know, 1 year to just start this Hall of Fame of this, you know, Hill Social Basketball, and there's a few guys that pop in my mind, you know, thinking about that.
Can I suggest, and you know, I forget the microphone's here, I'm just having a chat, but can I suggest, because, you know, I'm a life member of my rugby club, and I've played over 300 games for them, I've been on the committee, I've, you know, represented for them, you know, but I'm just a part of that club for 20 years. The club's been around for a lot longer than me. But, you know, when we were trying to go through the history books and go, you know, who was around in 1978 and who was around in 1980s, and, you know, when I was just, you know, in nappies, you know, and to me, when we did find history, it was the best. Like, and when you did find all that sort of stuff, but, you know, at the time, those guys were like you, like, should we do something? Nah, it's just a bunch of guys, you know, but, you know, it's good to have, and, you know, even if it amounts to nothing, like 10 years and you finish up and then everyone just, at least that's 10 years of history, you know. Okay. That's how books are written. That's how, you know, like, you know, again, I'm probably being a bit over the top, but, you know, like, just referring it back to the way that I, you know, with the footy, we needed that sort of stuff. And, you know, you don't want this to continue, and then they're like, what happened in the first 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important to record that.
I think so, you know, and I've only just sort of come to me, you know, like I just, when you said that, and when the sort of, I thought, well, you know, don't ignore that for the future, because there could be guys in the future, like 20 years time going, man, I wish Elv wrote this down, you know? Like,
so we've got an informal one that's posted there. So every season we post about, you know, who are the winners, who are the players of the team. So that's something that I've been thinking about and talking about, because history is important, you know.
Massively.
I think it's our age where we start to go, okay, there's kids coming through. It's part of that competitiveness, you know. Like, they need to know history. They need to know who the greatest of all time during that time, or you know, and who was the best in that season.
And when that guy turns up and he's, you know, 60s, going, I used to do this, you know, you can see it on the books, you know, and, you know, and he doesn't buy a beer all day. So.
And those things are the foundation of our culture, aren't they? Really, the people that came before us, what they did, how they did it, the spirit in which they played, that's what we really look to.
But during that time, you don't think of that. You don't think, I better record this. For me, I was like, I just turned up and played basketball. You know? And for you, it's like, I just, you know, it was just another Saturday morning. But it is, you know, for me, it's, you know, what you've created is a community, and what it can become is something, you know.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that I'm hoping that continues, or this continues, and that, you know, that we can have this either, you know, members for life or Hall of Fame of Hill Social Basketball, because these guys that we see every week, you know, we do play, but there are some, you know, some special guys with special talent.
That's cool.
What I love is that we're not talking about the NBA here, or you know, the top level of anything. We're talking about friendship, really. We're talking about local guys who've made an impact on us, and I think that's great, and I think it's really special to honour that sort of thing.
Yep.
Look, we're just about out of time for this episode, but I want to continue into part 2 with you and talk more about community, because it sounds like you've got a great take on it. Join us for the next one, guys.
Thank you.